So this video is going to be me showing you how to learn a language, even though I've never learned a language before. So let's get right to it. And also, I'm going to set up this angle here. Okay. So I'm going to have to use this phone, because my good phone is recording. So, I don't really like using this phone. It's a little slower, switching between things. Or no, wait, actually it's a little faster. I don't know, whatever. Let's not get into it. It doesn't matter. That's not what the video is about. So anyways, I'm not really sure how clear I'm going to say this all, but so the first thing is you want to find something that you want to read or find someone you want to communicate with. Find an actual reason to use the language. Right? Okay, great. So now I found a message here. It's in German. I didn't know that right away. But so I grabbed the message, I copy the message, I put it in Google Translate. Let's do that right now again, because I didn't do it on this phone. Copy text, Google, type the word translate. Yep. Enter the text. Cool. Great. Let's read it in German.
Huhu, bist du das auf den Avatar? Netter Anblick.
Netter Anblick. I like that one. Uh-huh. It means nice sight, probably. Whatever. Who cares? So now, I'm going to go ahead and, of course, I formulated an English response. I sent that instead of translating it. But so now, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to attempt to write Netter Anblick is what it looks like on paper, but it's pronounced with a bit more of an accent than that. Netter Anblick. And you can remember sort of what a German accent is and how they mispronounce English, and sort of use that to learn German a little bit, or learn the pronunciation difference that they would try to carry over to English. So there's my jumping off point right there. So now I'm going to practice typing it here. It's detecting English, which sucks. So I'm going to change it from detect language to German. And now that it says I'm in German, I'm going to look at the spelling. It's an easy one to spell. It's a one that I jumped right off at saying. And it looks like we got it right. You can't see that probably. It's in backwards too. Cool. But it says nice sight. So we got that right. It's nice sight. Cool. Netter Anblick. And you see I have some sort of attachment to that word, or a phrase rather, because it was sent to me in a message. This is my first time learning it. Blah, 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 whatever. It's in my head. I thought it was nice to say, it's easy to spell, and I have an emotional attachment to it to some degree. Okay. I also have a reason to communicate in German, hypothetically, because this person may not know English. Okay. So, now, it would be nice if in my message that was in English, I had some overlay with a German word that they had said, so that not only am I learning how to say it in German, but I'm also forming a double link, you know? I'm learning what they said and memorizing it, as well as how to say it. But we'll go to their profile. And this isn't useless stuff. You don't want to be reading useless stuff, because you're going to forget that. Your mind is going to forget that if you have a good thought process. So, this is stuff that I wanted to read. Okay. And it's also something that's interactable, because I'm just jumping off here. I don't want to go to a book. This is a message from somebody. So one of the topics that's being discussed here, I see it written in German, and it's in their profile. So this person is from a community that discusses a subject. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna type that subject in German on the German side of translate here, and then have it translated to English, so that I can then just confirm that it's the word, even though I'm pretty damn sure it's the word. Okay. Two R's. Same nonsense. Oh. Okay. Yep, it is the word. And this is a bad example word, and I don't care to go into that right now. So we're just going to change it to a different word. Physics. But now we got to change it over from English. And here's the German.
Physik.
Physik. No, that's given a French accent.
Physik.
Physik. Sounds like physique. Cool. It's an English word. But
Physik.
it's physique. Not physique. So, physique. Now let me imagine a German accent. Physique. 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 Alright, cool. I like physique. Alright. But let's get rid of the S too, so we can learn something about the language, because I translated physics.
Physik.
Still sounds like physique. Physique. Physics and physic seem to be the same, so I'll keep that in mind when using the word. Okay. And I just seen that there wasn't like physique, you know? Sounds like it would be physiques, you know, in my mind. So I'm using some imagination here to then do that part. But now let's try the grammar. Let's try to learn something about the grammar here. What was it? Netter? It's like nice. Yeah, it says netter. Why is it not translating? Oh, because I'm on the English side. Okay.
Nicer.
Okay. Looks like an works the same way. Nicer versus nice. Netter versus net. Okay. So I got rid of the ER at the end of netter, and it seems to be nice. So then I wonder why they said netter site when it translated earlier to nice site. So let's explore that. See, this is something I'm interested in, so it's going to form a nice, you know, bond in my brain. So there's a dot separation between nice site, but they spelled it netter site. So let me translate it different. Let's get rid of ER at the end. Net site. Okay, so now it still translates the same. So there's something they were trying to get across with the ER. Okay. So, let's get rid of that at the end. Avatar and avatar are the same. Cool. I get rid of the N on den, and it's your opposed to the. Okay.
Huhu. Bist du das auf den Avatar?
Often. On the. Okay. Versus Tien.
Huhu. Bist du das auf der Avatar? Huhu. Bist du das auf der Avatar?
Da. Your. Da versus den is your versus the. Now let's stop translating and start remembering. Den. Your. Fuck. Die. Is it die?
Huhu. Bist du das auf der Avatar?
Da. Da. De. Do. Da. Could be different pronunciations like that. Den. Den.
Huhu. Bist du das auf den Avatar?
Den Avatar. Okay. Now let's go to the beginning here. I'm wondering about the HU, which for some reason got translated to hey. When I put two dots at the end, it gets translated to hey. From Indonesian. Maybe they don't have a German word for hey. Maybe it's an Indonesian word. We get rid of the dot and it's gone. What does the dot have to do with it? I don't fucking know. I don't know how to say hey in German. Word. Okay. Now let's test the pronunciation. I have German to English opened up. Den. I got then instead of the. Okay. Damn. Din. Okay, I went hard on the I there. Just for fun. Den. Got then again. Okay. Got then for the second time in a row. Okay. D. D. Fuck, why does it just do a D? Why doesn't it do the? I don't understand. D avatar. I got the avatar. And it's just, it says from English. I went to auto detect and it says from English. I got the from English. D. Let's go the. Let's go the from English. Now it says die. Now it's pronounced die. Now it says die instead of D. D.
D.
D. D.
D.
D.
D.
D.
D.
D.
D.
D.
D.
D.
D.
D. Do E. D. D.
D.
D. Do E. There's an A in there. D. 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 German to English. D. 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 Maybe it's just because it's fucking one word. Maybe it's because it's a really small one word. Let's go back to English. The Avatar. Now it's giving me der. Now it's giving me der for the. This is 3 thes. What the fuck? Is it situationally dependent? Is it because? But it's always from Avatar. Wait, no, we didn't do it always from Avatar, but they had it. So it depends on the sentence before then. Before the 2 words. It depends if you say die, d, or der for Avatar for the word the before it.
Der Avatar.
Der. Now it's doing der. Why is it? It just keeps changing. It just keeps changing. So maybe it's impossible to learn from the translate because the translate is retarded. And I can say that on YouTube, and that's where I'm going to post this. So that's why a German speaker's good, you know? Why? I have tooth pain here. That's what I'm thinking about when I say why that time.
Der Avatar.
Der Avatar. But it says den when this person says it. So fuck it. Let's change it to den and see what happens. It still says the Avatar. Can you say... Let's ask ChatGPT. Let's go a level further with the fucking robots here. That tooth pain. I don't know why. But anyways. Hey ChatGPT, I'm considering learning German. Okay. So... D-I... I mean, rather, my bad. D-E, D-I-E, and D-E-N all seem to represent the. Is this true or false? And if so, what situations are they used in and why? So it's a sexual acquisition thing. My observations were correct. It's not an AI mistake or... So yeah, you can use them all. Depends on the situation. And like I said, it is determined by what's said before in the sentence. So I haven't gained false information, which is good to know. Okay. There's the masculine, feminine, and child version. Masculine, der. Feminine, die. Child, das. Four cases for the change of the article. of the thing, probably, is what it means by article. Nominative, accusative, indirect object, or possessive. Now it has it broken into categories, which is not really the best way to see it, but whatever. Got the nominative and accusative of masculine. We have der and den. And I am being addressed as a male. So, the male version of the avatar, and it's asking me a question about my avatar, would be den, which is what they had used. Cool. If it was nominative, it would be der. If I were just to say something about their avatar, I say, the avatar you have. The avatar. How would you say something about the avatar that's not a question that has the in front of avatar? Because we don't know the grammar and we don't want to structure the grammar wrong. Everything sort of autocorrects to a question in English. Like, you would say, the avatar has a nice smile. Just random example. And that could come off as a question depending upon the inferencing that you use. So, in German is seen as more of a demand language, opposed to a questioning language. So I'm guessing in German, you could then use the correct the to then phrase it to be non-questionative versus questionative. You don't do a tone change, you do a the change. So, let's do a the change. So this is actually useful. I've learned something useful here. In German, you could communicate that something is or isn't a question without them having to pick up on a specific tone, because you're using an entirely different word to determine to them that it isn't a question. In writing in English, you just put a question mark at the end if it is, and not a question mark at the end if it isn't. But their whole sentence is structured around if it was going to be a question or not. And if it's a question or not, being asked to a male or female. Okay. So we're just focusing on the male here. We're going to a non-accusative. The avatar has a nice smile. Der avatar. You already know it's not going to be a question. If you hear der avatar, it almost sounds like your. That's a good placeholder for memory there. Der your. English versus German. Your avatar sort of sounds like a statement. But whatever. You don't want to, rely upon that. Let's just remember what we've learned instead of trying to make it into a, something that it's not. Is that you in your avatar? You would say den avatar. Is it you in that avatar? No, is it you in the avatar? You would say, is it you den avatar? Is it you in den avatar? My bad. Is a question. Is it you in den avatar? Question. Is it you in der avatar? Awkwardly phrased, technically not a question. Maybe they meant it to be. Maybe they misspoke. Yeah, let's go to the feminine. For the feminine, it's both nominative and accusative. It would both be a question and or not a question, not specified technically. You would say die avatar. And there's sort of like a People like to leave things open-ended when they're doing like a, what's the word, they're acquiring, you know, they're flirting. People like to make things not specific, like, oh, am I flirting, am I not flirting, who's to say, you know. So that's my guess at why it's the same for the feminine one and not the same for the masculine one. This is telling me a lot about German culture here, just their language, you know, because they're using their language on a daily basis to communicate things, and it has specific inherent goods and bads. In the English culture, we have no the differences for, you know, changes in the, for if it's a question or not. We don't specify at all. We just do an upward inflection, as it's called. Is that your hat? Is that your hat? And I mean, it's inherently a question the way that I phrase it. But now here's one that's not. Look at that hat over there. I didn't really specify if it's a question or not with that tone. That's the tone I normally use. It leaves it open-ended. And that's common in English. You don't say if it's a question or not. What does that say about our culture? But anyways, we could go on about that, but we will, actually, fuck it, we will, yeah. So look at that hat. Now, since it's not written, it's in person, more likely. The other person is present when I say that. Because if it was written, it would specify if it's a question or not, because there's a question mark that I can write to specify if it's a question or not. Which leaves me away, I'm physically away from their mental, emotional, or spiritual, whatever you'd like to call it, reaction to me commanding them to do something versus questioning. And also it matters less because I'm not there. They're going to decide to do it or not. The question mark doesn't really add in this situation, but it's sort of like a tone setting thing. So, with there being no way to specify without awkwardly saying question mark at the end, which most people wouldn't do, and it still doesn't, like, you're not going to say a period at the end. Most people really wouldn't do that, right? Because then you're changing it from a question to a command. People don't like commands, usually, and it implies that you have power over the other person. So there's an open implication of whether or not I have power over the other person, or if I can tell them to do something versus ask. That happens in English inherently due to the way that it's spoken. In German, if I'm speaking to a man, I either have power over him or I don't. Because I specify with my the if I do or not. But with the no specification, specifically for females, it leaves it open to interpretation, which creates that same thing that's in English, but only towards people who are, you're going to address as a female. So people in German can specify verbally if they have power over a man, but don't openly, and they can only specify with a male if they have power over them, or you have to address the female as a male to specify if you have power over them. So it sort of masculinizes somebody you have power over. verbally an admittance of. That's the only option in German. Versus female, it's always open-ended. You do not know if you have power over them or not. They can interpret it either way, and they can sort of by that tell you if they're interested by their response to that. Or there's always that they don't have to do it, which gives you a better frame of reference if the female's interested, maybe, hypothetically. Okay. And then it's the same for the child. It doesn't specify, it's das. That's the in question and not in question. In statement. Look at that hat over there. Doesn't specify if it's a question or not. Children tend to get older. They tend to have more power. And you use the same language, and it doesn't specify if you have power over them or not. So there's probably less of an emphasis over power over a child or female in German, opposed to there being more of an emphasis and more of an outright statement of power over men. And that is something that is explicitly stated in German, and probably has to do a lot with their societal structures and foundations, as they're all formulated by a German-speaking society. And now plural, if I'm speaking to a group that may contain male or female, I then again lose it. I don't have a specific nominative or accusative, questioning versus non-questioning way to say it. It's die for plural. Look at die hat. Look at the hat, but I'm speaking to multiple people. I specify. So, look at the hat is something that could be said openly to a group in American, in English, and any version of English, my bad. Could be said to a group or a specific individual. And I don't specify if I'm talking to one person or many. But in German, you can specify if you're talking to the group or a singular individual. Then I guess at the end you'd probably put their name, but I haven't looked into German that much. We're in the first couple words here of learning the language. So in German culture, I can easily verbally specify if I'm talking to multiple people if they're present, or if I'm deciding to just talk to one. I cannot specify if I'm saying it in a questioning way or in a non-questioning way without explicitly calling them a man. Meaning that I can give commands specifically that are known to be commands only to men. And of course there are 3 groups of people who can do this. Well, 4 actually, my bad. That being multiple people a group, a child, a female, or a man. It would probably be most likely for a man to do that. And also, maybe men talk to men more often, females talk to females more often, children talk to children more often, and groups talk to groups more often, or talk about groups more often, as they're inherently in one, or are one of those things. So, it gives sort of a framework for men to gain power over other men, or state that they don't have power over other men. And you're talking specifically to the individual, and then you can no longer do that if it becomes a group. Then you're openly saying, I may or may not have power over this group. So this would inherently make you seem more charismatic to individuals and more of a strict dictator almost to an individual. specifically a masculine individual, but not to a feminine individual, a child individual, or a group individual. Also, the word that is giving me here for child says neuter, which sounds like someone who cannot reproduce, particularly a male, but I don't know. So I'm wondering if that's where the word neuter comes from, and it has any link to German. But also, in the category here that I'm seeing on the piece of paper, masculine, feminine, neuter. So maybe it's not like necessarily like a child. Maybe it doesn't say child because this doesn't say female. It says feminine. So maybe neuter means to be of child, like childish, have childlike qualities. So maybe it's more of a generalized term for somebody who acts that sort of way. Which you're not expressly talking to a child. So I would presume you're not expressly talking to a child by saying das, but you're exerting that you have the age over them. You're referring to them as younger, das. So that could be seen as another way of, saying verbally in a sentence, by the way you're saying it, by the words you select, that you have power over them, or no, that you're more, you're probably more, at least more, you see yourself as being older or potentially an authority over them, or you're simply reminding them of their childhood and phrasing things the way that a parent might, or somebody who had authority over them in a state. So okay, in a state of time, So these are all good things to know. So it's just, there's a lot to it, and it's a lot different than English, the way they use the. And there's der. I'm not questioning. Der hat. The hat. I'm saying to a man. We're using the English hat. But anyways. Den hat. And I'm questioning the hat. Maybe I'm asking if you want a hat. Maybe you could interpret it that way. And I'm asking specifically a male when I say that. Or a masculine person. Because it says masculine, it doesn't necessarily say male. But then if I'm asking a feminine person, or if I'm telling a feminine person the hat, or asking them if they want the hat, then I would say die hat, which leaves it open for them to decide, and you tell them more with your eyes, I'm imagining. And then child, same thing. Das hat. You probably tell them more with your eyes if it's a question or not. If they're supposed to, take the hat from you, put on the hat, whatever the situation may call for, the inferencing with the body language. That's all nonverbal, unless it's explicitly stated afterwards. So it's something that is not necessarily a command, but could be a command, and is then followed up with words afterwards for the female and the child. So by having a nominative and an accusative for the male, it sort of expresses a greater respect as well as a greater disrespect, as we've said in these two different examples we've given here. Because we get something that could be interpreted as a question, we could basically phrase it in a way where, well, not phrase it in a way, but use a different word in a way to express to them that it is definitely not a question, it is a command. So I can express to a male or a masculine figure that I'm commanding them or that I'm questioning them. And I could also give them more of a direct thing that is sort of like respectful. I lost it there. The hat, yeah. and then it makes you lose respect for the you can't give more respect like that, or more of a command to a group, which I guess sort of inherently makes sense from a social perspective. So personally, I like what it does for children there, because it makes sense and it exerts less power over them, unless expressly stated. It does the same for a group, but obviously it probably wouldn't work with a group, especially dependent on size, and same with a child, dependent on size, and um, with a female, dependent on interest. So it makes sense that it's all like this, to some degree, inherently socially. Or at least the social mechanics then make sense based on the language. Okay. So if we wanted to, like, like fuck with somebody or disrespect them and call them childish, in a way, we could say das hat. Like, I'm basically saying, like, I'm giving them the child version of the and saying hat. So, I'm asserting that I think I'm older than them, or that I'm disrespecting them on a basis of I look at them as a child, or maybe it's like, like, I'm stronger than you, you know what I'm saying? Like, how your friends sort of fuck around with you, they might like baby you or whatever, child you. It could be a thing done in jokes. So das hat, And the hat, because I'm just using it, it's a 2-word sentence, so it's very easy to go off of. And now let's get the German hat in here. Let's go from English to German on Google Translate. Hat. Hat. Fuck it. Well, I mean, I could have just wrote it out if it wasn't going to work that time, but it did. Hat is hut. Put an S at the end. You put 2 dots over the U and an E at the end.
Hüte.
Hüte. Hats. Hat.
Hut.
Hoots. Now let's put the in front of it. We're going to do die for female. And then we'll do hat. It translates to der hat. It immediately masculinizes it. I don't know why. Is it improper and you can't use the questioning versus non-questioning with the hat? You have to put something else in front of it. It doesn't work for such a short sentence. Does it just go at the end? Probably not.
Der Hut.
Der Hut. And now let's see which one that is from the list here. It's nominative instead of accusative. Oh, okay, maybe it's because when I translate it, I put die in English. Okay. The hat. But I'd have to specify the gender, which I can't do with 2 words in English, but I can with 2 words in German. Good to know. Also, might be a reason why people switch languages with people who know multiple languages to then express some concepts in some way that's more socially fitting for what they're trying to achieve with the amount of words they're trying to use, or the amount of things they're trying to specify or not specify, and what they want to leave vague based on what's available to leave vague in the conversation in both English, German, or whatever other language. Good to know. Legs numb from crisscross applesauce. So we're changing to a laid back. Trying to get the mic so it's not covered. Okay. We learned a lot. Let's go to German. And der Hat. Die Hat. And what was the other one? Oh, Das Hat for child. Are all the hat, and they translate just like that. So you got something lost in translation. And that's the specification if you're talking to a child, if you're talking to a man, or if you're talking to a female, or you're talking to a group. Also, another thing noticed here, we got die as the same for plural as it is for feminine. So there's some there's something lost there where you could be talking to, if you decide to just decipher that, if you decide to specify, if you're talking to a group or an individual, it doesn't. Let me put this down, because actually having something in my right hand is a distraction, as well as having something in both hands is a distraction. I don't know why, inherently. It just works that way for me. So it's die all the way across, if it's a question or not, if it's female or plural. So if I'm saying the hat, and I say die hat, there's 4 different possibilities. And so if there's multiple females around, it could grab all of their attention, opposed to just one, because I'm using a 2-word specification. So I might use other words and form it into a longer sentence so that this misinterpretation doesn't happen, or I might leave it vague by using less words, which is an option to do in German and not an option in English. I mean, I guess if I really wanted to do it, I technically could, but it's not commonly expressed in English, and it would look weird, whereas in German it would not. I could say, she, look at my hat. Or I could say, she's, look at my hat. Or I could say, group, look at my hat. Or I could say, I would actually have to say, and it's because these are specifications, these are all the 4 different specifications stated in English in the weird way. And these are all things that can be misinterpreted by the 2-word interpretation in German. So, she's, look at my hat. She, look at my hat. Okay, she, look at my hat. My bad, I'm starting over. She, look at my hat. Question mark. Female, will you look at my hat? Question mark. Would be how you'd have to say it for proper English. Okay. It's sort of dehumanizing to say it like that, isn't it? But, and then I would say, she, look at my hat. Period. This is not a question. I might even need to say that at the end to really specify. But these are all things these are 2 different interpretations. These are things that people are they are specified differently for men, but they're not specified differently for female. So these 2 are linked together and these 2 aren't. This is how it is in my brain right now, okay? And then so that's in die hat, all 4 of these. So now we're going to do another link here. Group, look at my hat. Period. This is not a question. Oh wait, no, I added my. Die hat. Group, look at my hat. This is not, oh no, look, I always got that. Group, the hat, not a question, specified. Group, the hat, not a question, specified. Female, the hat, not a question, specified. Female, the hat, question, specified. Group. The hat. Not a question, specified. Group. The hat. Question, specified. All 4 links. By Die Hat. Child. Not a question and a question, specified. Left open to interpretation. Das Hat. Feminine. Non-specified. Question or not a question. Die Hat. Masculine. Specified, not a question. Der Hat. I have no authority over you. I'm being respectful. The Hat. I am not asking you a question. I am just simply stating the hat. I'm not asking you for anything. I specify that. Der Hat. Accusative. I'm about to, I'm in the process of, or I want you to do something in regards to the hat. Den Hat. Facial expression tells how much power I seem to have over you. Or if I need to treat you nicely or not nicely for that. We're trying to get to a master level on a 2-word sentence. Native, nothing lost in translation, nothing added. Hut.
Das Hut.
Hoot.
Das Hut.
Spelled hut, pronounced hoot.
Das Hut.
Hoot. Hoot. Sort of a U. Hoot. I am remembering it H-O-A-T for the phonetics of it in my head. I'm linking that visualization of those 4 letters to hoot, how I would spell it and how I would say it. With a U. There's a lot of links that go on in memorizing a language. It builds this whole big neural network in your brain. It takes up space. It's not always useful to remember a language. It's not always useful to use a new language. I am deciding to learn German. The Hat. I've selected German specifically for my own reasons. But anyways. Das Hut. I have now said in a way that is not specific if it's a question or not. It's open-ended interpretation. If this is anything to do with a question, if I want you to do anything with the hat, if I'm questioning something about the hat, depending upon how it's used. Not depending on how it's used. My bad. That's a bad way to say that. I gotta get my group talk open. Okay. Can't crack the fingers anymore. But, Das Hut. Sounds so German, doesn't it? Got the accent on there. It's perfect. It's an actual sentence in German. I know specifically what it means, and I've specified it, and I've linked it in my head. It feels so good. Das Hut. Feels great. I'm speaking German. It's amazing. Das Hut. Yay! Yay! You see how bad I felt in the beginning when I almost misremembered or started remembering something that was wrong? Do you feel how good? Do you see how good I'm making myself feel now that I know I'm remembering something that's right? That's a part of it too. But there is no there's no cheating. You know, this is all my own way. I'm giving you tools, but how you use them and the holes you dig and the pathways you make, that's up to you. Make sure it's useful. Das Hut. The hat. Maybe that's what I'll call this video. If I was gonna end it there, that's what I'd do, but I'm not gonna do that. Das Hut. I'm asking a child, or I'm not asking a child. The hat. The hat. Am I asking for my hat or not? Who's to say? But I'm definitely talking to a child. And that's what you get out of Das Hut. And now let's not link it. I don't want now that's a bad link right there that I almost made. A direct from English, the hat, which doesn't go in line perfectly with Das Hut. So I want to keep those unlinked. So I'm going to try to not say them or not think about them that close to one another. Because one means a specific that the other one doesn't mean a specific of. Das Hut. It's new. It's new. It's not linked to something. I learned a new thing. That's the way you got to think about it. That's what I'm deciding to think about it. That's the way Joe has to think about it. I don't know about you. But anyways, we're learning in real time. Das Hut. Amazing, amazing, amazing. But now, I want to do the same thing. I'm not going to specify if it's a question or not. And I'm going to do this to a female presence or a feminine presence. Because, I mean, feminine doesn't specify female necessarily, but someone who I'm treating feminine. Die Hat. Die Hat. Die Hat. Not specifying if it's a question or not, I'm saying the hat. Okay. I'm also not specifying if it's a group or not. I'm saying the hat. Die Hat. Feminine, I'm treating you feminine, or I'm treating you as a group. Not specified. I'm questioning it. There's a questioning part of it. That means all those things that the question we said before. We're using the same example over and over again, so same thing from before. So I don't specify it's a group, or if I don't specify if I'm treating it female, I'm doing one or the other, or maybe both. Who's to say? And I'm not specifying if it's a question or not, and I'm not specifying if it's not a question. I can mean the hat. I'm not questioning, or I am questioning. Different meanings, of course, inherently, in both languages. Die Hat. Links. Die Hat. Die Hat. Now I'm going to switch to the German hat. Die Hut. Die Hut. Die Hut. You know what it means. I just told you. Die Hut. All right. Die Hut. But now, in a different interpretation, in a different world now. Now I'm saying this to a child. I'm looking at a child now. Das Hut. Okay. And I've linked it to the visualizations. I'm keeping mind of the different interpretations. And now I have 2 sentences I could say in German. And now I've done both. I've said both. I know what it means. And I got the phrasing, got the grammar, got the spelling, got the learning a new language slows you down. I'm a super speaker of English. That's all I do. I'm changing that right now in this video. I'm using that as a crutch or a what's the word? Fuck. Jesus Christ. It's painful. I don't like it a little bit, and I hope it's useful. I guess I got to talk to German people more after I go full circle on this and I get over the 1,000-word hurdle, which seems really far away, but it's not. It's exponential. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. I can't even extend my arms that far. 64. Now we'd have to go 30. You know, I mean 32, 64, 128. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. But that's the time though that it takes. I would propose. I haven't done this before. Fuck, I even forgot what I was gonna say in English. This is useless. This is gonna be such a detriment to me. I'm gonna speak German for nothing. It's whatever. It's not a big deal. I shouldn't get that in my head. Push that out. Die Hat. Die Hut. Die Hut.
Das Hut.
Das Hut.
Die Hut.
Die Hut. Not die.
Die Hut.
Die Hut. We're just jumping right back into it. Our little ramble is gone, going back into the learning process.
Die Hut.
Die Hut. Die, pronounced D. You visualize in English as D-E. Die. So I'm linking D to, I visualize D-I-E. D. I'm visualizing it and I'm linking it.
Die Hut.
Die Hut. See, they tried to get me to learn a language in like 11th or no, 8th grade. Yeah, and you literally have to link things in your brain. That's the truth of it. No learning system out there should have the ability to link things in your brain. That should be just you, and you shouldn't get in the process of allowing other people to link things for you in your brain. It's a bad habit to get into, and it makes you more of a slave. And that's my opinion on it. Okay, so it's also useless, and it's bad to know another language you're not going to use. It slows you down. It uses up space in your brain that could be for other stuff or could help you in your life. These are physical links that are being made in your brain. There's a lot of space in there, crazy amount, but it does take up space. It also takes up time, which you have a lot less of than space in your brain. But anyways,
Die Hut.
Die Hut. Die Hut. Die Hut. Female. Always saying it to a female. Or a group. Doesn't matter, they're the same to me. Not really. In German they are though. Die Hut. Die Hut. Das Hut. Okay. And now we just got the masculine. Nominative. I'm expressly stating this to you, and there's no question about it. And I see you as a masculine figure. Der Hut. I'm not asking you anything about the hat. There's no sort of... With a questioning tone, with this two phrase, there is a thing that you want that isn't specified, which due to the structuring of German, we'd propose to be, you know, they don't like that. They probably wouldn't like den Hat. Because you're specifying to a male that you're questioning to them something about a hat, that you want something out of it, and you're not specifying what it is. And German leaves it very open for you to specify very specifically about things that are in the command for a male. And this isn't something, den is not a word that is really linked with authoritative askings. It is linked with authoritative askings. but it is not linked with authority as authority in German and just in the structuring of languages by nature. The less questioning it is, the more authoritative it is. So den Hat is the one that you're least likely to use. Den Hat. Unless you're maybe like an old man saying the hat and you don't want to specify if you have power over the person or not. But your hat's on the ground probably when you say that. Den Hat. The hat. And I'm not specifying if I ask for it or not. It makes me seem really weak, very feeble, and I'm not expressing very well. Rather, I like the hat to do this or that, you know? But there is a question to it. So it'd be very weird to use those two words like that. It'd be bad for you. So I'm just keeping that in my head. Because, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. Probably. Okay. This is also telling me a lot about German culture and how they got to where in society in the 1940s, which has been in my brain this whole time. But anyways, just saying. Just saying. Okay. Okay. All right. Because everything that happened was a culmination of everything that was going on. This language was going on the whole time. So anyways, nominative, der Hat. So I'm not questioning. Oh, my bad. Wait, der? Is der right? Let's just go over them real quick so I know I'm not misdoing it this whole time, as I'm also having these side tangent conversations where I'm not directly doing the learning process. I'm going to stop doing that. So goodbye for now. We're just doing learning now, I guess, for a minute. Oh my god, I hate that look. But whatever, I used to be really fat, so this is how I look now. There's a bit more skin there than I would normally have with this body mass if I had not been fat prior.
Die Hut.
Die Hut. Group or feminine. Die Hut. We're not going to say that anymore. We're just going to do it. Die Hut. Die Hut. Das Hut.
Der Hut.
Der Hut. Der Hut.
Den Hut.
Den Hut. Den Hut. Den Hut. Die Hut.
Die Hut.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Also, German probably doesn't use inferencing. I would guess. I haven't seen it yet. But let's ask ChatGPT to be specific. Does German use inferencing? See, I'm already thinking more German. That sounded more commandative than the possible questioning that is in every English sentence almost. What about an upward inflection tone to state questioning? Yes. No. So yeah, it does use the inflection. It uses it much more narrow because the words specify. Although you could also use the inflection, although it would be harder to pick up on for females in groups. Okay, good to know.
Der Hut.
Der Hütte. Der Hüt. Der Hut.
Der Hut. Die Hut. Das Hut. Das Hut. Die Hut. Der Hut. Would be very weird to say just like that. Maybe you shouldn't keep it linked like that. Maybe state them very far apart from one another. Okay. We're getting a mastery of the word the in German. Der Hut. No, it's just that we're imagining it. We're imagining the situation, we're using it, and as we're saying it. Looking at it on the paper at the same time. Der Hut. Den Hut. Added the inflection to that time. Over specify. Looking at DIE, pronouncing it D. But you don't want to just say it by itself like that. Just keep it in your brain. Die Hut. Die Hut. Now I've added specification, which may seem a bit foreign to a German speaker, because it's used in a more narrower sense, and you usually leave it open to interpretation if you're speaking to a female or a group, as we specified many times now. Die Hut. Die Hut. Der Hut. Den Hut. Das Hut. Das Hut. Das Hut. Die Hut. Die Hut. Mastered.
Mastered.
Gemeistert. Gemeistert.
Gemeistert.
Gemeistert.
Gemeistert.
Gemeistert. Gemeistert. Gemeistert.
Gemeistert. Mm.
Gemeistert die Hütte.
If I were speaking to a female. Or group.
Gemeistert die Hütte.
Why is there an E at the end? This pisses me off. Ah. Why? 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 Let's get rid of the E at the end, see what happens. I said, oh, because I said hut in English. I said mastered the hut. Mastered the hat.
Gemeistert der Hut.
Der Hut. Which specifically states male, not question. Mastered the hat, and there is no question about it. Der Hut.
Gemeistert der Hut.
Gemeistert der Hut. Gemeistert der Hut. Gemeistert der Hut. Gemeistert der Hut.
Gemeistert der Hut. Gemeistert der Hut.
And since I'm looking at the word here, which is bad, Gemeistert der Hut. I'm pronouncing it better now because I'm not looking at the English language here. In my head, as I'm reading the German word in letters that are also in English and pronounced different. So, since people pronounce things with accents, and you want to not pronounce it with the accent when you're learning a new English word, you would then look at it, apply the English language rules to it, and understand the word better. But we don't want to do that. So it's bad to look at the word while I'm trying to listen to it to say it right.
Gemeistert der Hut.
Gemeistert der Hut. Gemeistert der Hut. Gemeistert de Hut. Mastered the hat. Gemeistert der Hut. I think we're gonna have to take a piss break there. So we're gonna end it right here. And we're gonna do however many parts it takes tonight, and we're gonna master German. And hopefully by the end of this video, we will no longer be talking to each other, or me talking to the screen. That will no longer happen in English, and it will slowly transition to German. And at the end of the video, I'll do the entire outro in German. Not by having put it in, but by actually thinking of the words in my head and using them as I'm fluently using German. And we'll do that tonight. Gemeistert der Hut. That'll be the title of this one.